Hey, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm super excited to have Tim Guinan and Jake Harper here as guests. They have great stories to share with you all. Tim is leading the charge around key support AI initiatives at WP Engine, which is a leader in WordPress hosting and technology. And Jake is doing similar at Symplicity, which is a software company that's really focused on the higher education space. They'll be discussing AI and support and how they've navigated initiatives successfully without upending their existing ticketing environments. In this case, both Zendesk. Jake will talk about his approach from a crawl, walk, run perspective and basically how they have approached AI over the course of a series of steps. Tim will actually share with you live some of the things that they're doing, which is pretty amazing. So really excited to have them share their stories. I want to thank in advance Support Driven, which is a wonderful community for support professionals. If you're not currently a member of that community, check it out. Again, Support Driven. Know that you can pose questions to our panelists during the chat over the course of this webinar. And our panelists will be keeping an eye on the chat. We'll be providing responses back to your questions. So super excited. With that, let's jump into it. Jake, let me hand it to you to begin.
Sure. Well, thanks, Seth. This has been a privilege to work with you on the webinar. And, at Symplicity, when we first thought about AI, what we were thinking about was how to expand our support and continue with a 365, 24/7 model without continually adding staffing to support that structure, as well as trying to think about how best can we use the current staff's time. So is it addressing those simple level 1 inquiries, or is there a better use case where they're not feeling so strapped to complete regression testing, documentation, and inquiries? So when we were looking at trying to implement an AI solution, that's what we were really focusing on. And the challenge with that is our product line is so vast with 13 distinct different lines. That became a technical challenge to provide a solution to support that. So as we implemented Embrace, one of the sort of hiccups along the way is, and one of the things that I didn't even think about was really not from a technical perspective, but from a staffing perspective, was a fear of downsizing. So with the implementation of the AI software, is there a staffing reduction going to happen? And then there was also a thought of, well, how else can I use this software? So outside the traditional realm of self-service, and then from the support agent side usage, there became a open door to where it could be utilized across the support organization for different avenues. So it wasn't sort of a gotcha, it was a positive gotcha in that respect. The one downfall, if you will, is we are a Zendesk client. So we had to think about, you have the integrated Zendesk messaging app, as well as now Embrace sitting on top of the platform. So when you have those, where does the client go? So we had to make a decision on where each of the messaging apps sat for the client. So all that being said, as we look at last quarter, we can see that having a methodical plan with the um, AI software, we've stabilized our first reply time. We've gone from an average of 4 hours to 2.5 for all inquiries. And we reduce staff's reliance on multiple tools. We've gone from having a translation software, AI solution, and messaging to we now have AI and Zendesk. So it really streamlined the support agents' use. And then the last thing is, we've been using this for about 6 months now as we've onboarded and looking at a good solid set of data. I was able to articulate that we have between a 12 and 19% deflection rate for the last quarter. So that's giving us some good ROI for the support team.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. And for Tim, I'll ask you the same thing on the WP Engine front.
Absolutely, happy to do so, and just thank you for the invitation to be a part of the webinar. And we've been using Embrace since, or a very our first iteration of using Embrace started in August of 2023, and since then we've worked with you and the rest of the Embrace team to introduce more and more tools into our platform. Since then, one of the first things that caught our attention of why we wanted to seek out AI is our support team has a lot of technical situations that they have to maneuver day in and day out. Just like Jacob was talking about having a large product line, our team, when it comes to trying to not be just like a set it and forget it host, we're trying to support you in a lot of different avenues. And so that means a lot of different areas where our team needs to build up their knowledge base in. And we have a technical documentation knowledge base for our team to search while they're helping customers, but it's like 1,300 articles. It's a lot. And when one topic can actually span 25, 30 different articles on its own, it can be very challenging finding that article and finding the specific one that you need out of those 30, even if you have the topic in mind. So we stood up a connection with Embrace and Slack, because we use Slack for communication here at WP Engine. We set up a channel where you can talk to Embrace directly, and it has access to all of our knowledge base. So you can ask it questions around like, how do I do X? How do I do Y? How do I do Z? And Embrace responds and gives the agents technical know-how to do the work that they need to do. And then they can actually continue that conversation with Embrace to kind of dive into it and learn more from it. So from the technical need of our own team needing to be able to quickly search through our deep knowledge base and get what they need, as well as kind of the flip side of it is our customers needing the same thing. We have about 200 customer-facing technical articles that our customers can search. But as a customer, it can be pretty overwhelming to go into documentation for any company. I think any of us have probably felt that, whether you're diving into like Zendesk documentation, your own documentation, or just another party that you're looking into, it can be overwhelming and hard to do so. So we also looked into Embrace for setting up a web widget to allow customers to talk with Embrace about our public-facing documents as well, and be able to easily search through that. And that was kind of like where this journey of ours started, and it's really grown from there, which I'm happy to get into here soon. But just with some of those things, even just with like standing up a large language model of helping searching those articles, there's still some hiccups and difficulties that one might run into. Jacob talked about this you know, employees asking questions of like, is this supposed to replace me at some point? Like that's always going to be a conversation when you're first introducing AI in a company, and really having to work through that with the team and explain to them of like, no, this is not a replacement of the human element, because the human element is very, very powerful for support. Yeah, you don't want to lose that. But this is just another tool in the tool belt to help you do the best that you can. And so some of the things that we saw from that were, as soon as we implemented Embrace and got the teams to start using it more, we saw our average handling time drop by about 2 minutes, which may not sound like a lot, but when our team is handling close to, you know, uh, 25 to 30,000 chats a month, 2 minutes on all of those adds up very, very quickly. So you can save a lot of time. And then introducing the customer facing one, we also saw a decrease in volume almost immediately when we released the web widget in, I think it was March of 2024. And we saw our volume come down, the number of interactions, because customers were able to talk with Embrace directly and just see, like, get answers before they even needed to reach out to the team. And then to encourage our team to use the Embrace Slack more, we, Embrace released a Zendesk app for Embrace, so we can move Embrace from Slack and just be directly into Zendesk, what we're working out of already. And when we did that, we saw our team usage go up by about 50%. We were seeing our team have about 3,000 conversations with Embrace on a monthly basis. After we moved it from Slack into Zendesk itself, we're seeing about like 4,500, which has been very, very helpful this year, because it's hard for our team to be working so dedicated with the customers and have to leave pages and go back and forth between Zendesk and then Slack and then back to Zendesk and then maybe back to Slack. Being able to work directly into Zendesk has been very powerful for the team.
That's great. Thanks for the color, Tim. Just on why you did what you did and what the approach was along the way, and the results you've achieved. Super helpful. So appreciate the summary. So now we've kind of started with this this problem and also the impacts you've achieved. Now let's talk about maybe this harder piece, which is, how did you actually make it happen? And what are some tips and tricks and learnings that can help the audience solve probably some of the same problems that you all have experienced in the past. And so, Jake, we'll start with you on this question. You talked about some of the difficulties along the way. Tell us a little bit more. Maybe what was the hardest thing about the process? What did you do to address it? And share any other like practical things you learned along the way.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing about the process was, as soon as we signed, I wanted to be done and implemented in 24 hours and just go get him, which was not going to be the case, we all realized. But the one thing that became very apparent in early onset was the need for two distinct rollout plans. The first one externally for clients and how they were going to use it and interact with the tool. And then internally, what was our rollout plan? Because as we mentioned, both Tim and I mentioned about the fear, is AI going to replace me, et cetera, et cetera. But then also, they're now having to make this part of their daily process. This is a new tool for them. So we actually started with the internal first, and we did that purposefully and methodically to build up the library. And we integrated with using the Zendesk app, and we allowed each of the agents to offer feedback on whether the answer was right or how we could enhance it. And then we added materials to the source. And we did that for all product lines. And that is what then we rolled out to clients. and we rolled that out slowly through the client base. And we did the same thing. As they offered feedback, we adjusted, we pivoted, and added more knowledge base information. The nice thing about, I'll use the word, the plans, is that they continually grew. So we added to how we were going to utilize Embrace throughout the journey, even so that we now know sort of what the next step is. The one thing with the internal side, I will say, is part of any plan, and I don't know what with Tim's organization, and I'd love to hear his thoughts, but part of that for us was organic. Was we started with our core group of the support team and then allowed Embrace to filter out through the rest of the organization and get utilized. But that was slow, and it was not sort of a big production. It was, did you hear about the new tool we got? How could you use it? It was more of a slow rollout in that regard. So that's sort of how some of the practical tips along the way to get us to where we are today, which is getting ready to do some big things with the tool.
That's great. Thanks, Jake. Tim, same question your way.
Yeah, I'll jump in on what Jake was just talking about, and curious like how our team rolled it out. We rolled out in a very similar fashion. I think it was May of 2023 where we first started getting the connections with Embrace and our team, but we didn't want to release it to everybody right away because it was like our first AI implementation, and we didn't want to just jump into the deep end, and if something went wrong, it went wrong for everybody. We wanted to make sure that we were implementing it correctly, building out the agents properly, and improving them before we got it out to the rest of the team. So our first team that actually got it, if I'm not mistaken, was actually our customer success team, not our support team, and it had about 10 people that were using it on a pretty regular basis just to get the ball rolling and see how it was working and improving. And shout out to a member of my team, Mandy, who was there in the early stages, like improving the agents, rewriting the agents, and reworking them so that they got better and better over time. I think we're currently on version like 4.1 or something of our agents, specifically for our Slack agent. And we had like about 10 people using it for about 2 months, and then we started to introduce it to the support team, but we didn't introduce it to the entire support team. We only introduced it to a select few that we knew would give proper feedback and help us build it out even more. And then so that all started in May. We didn't fully launch it to the entirety of our team until August, like the end of August. So it took about 4 to 5 months for it to fully release. And when I look at the metrics from back then, I can see that it's a slow burn of getting people to use it, because not only was the difficulty of like rolling it out and getting it into a state of where you wanted it to be, then it became another challenge of, is the team ready for it? Does the team want to use it? Does the team feel like they trust it? We had a lot of conversations as a support leadership team during that time about like, how do we encourage our team to use this feature that can help them search for articles faster? Because it's giving answers. But back in 2023, I think the perception of AI was much different than it is today. AI in 2023, I think, was very much seen as like, that's cool, it's probably wrong, I'm not going to trust it. I don't like it. And so we had to work through that in the very early stages. And it took trust with the team that we had already built with them in order to build out a program to provide feedback, let us know when it wasn't working right so that we could train it up, build it better, and then over time, it's gotten to this point where it's answering our questions um, positively and successfully at a high percentage of the time. And so I think that is one of the biggest challenges. If this is your first AI implementation into a company, I think you're definitely going to run into challenges of like maybe you're ready to implement it, but your team's not. And so you really need to be having clear, honest, transparent communications with your team of like, this is what we want it to do. This is not a replacement by any means. We want this to be an extra tool for you. We want this to empower you, and we want to stand. We always say we want to set them up for success. We want to set the team up for success with whatever tools we can use, and we think that AI, and we've shown that AI is like one of the ways to absolutely do that in these areas.
Super helpful guidance just around change management, which we see at all of our customers. Very, very thoughtful approach. Let's see, Jake, I'm going to head back to you and just ask you to share, a handful of things you did that really helped make this solution of like, Zendesk for ticketing, Embrace on the AI side really shine. So I know you've prepared a few slides. I'll bring those up. All right.
Is my screen coming? Yep, looks good. So we'll look at this here, and it kind of goes with the similar thought or ideology that we were talking about before. And I used a comparison of crawl, walk, and run. And so early on, we crawled with Embrace. We added the Zendesk app for our support team and really used that tool to allow them to see the power of summarizing, generating a response, searching the database, and actually searching internal policies and procedures. It really gave them a quick ability, as Tim was saying, right, to search a whole bunch of documentation very quickly and succinctly. And this became a game changer, especially for a lot of the management team, like myself, when we were all called to look at summarizing interactions with clients. For all of us who get, I'm sure none of us ever get negative CSAT scores, but when they happen, it's very helpful to quickly summarize that interaction and provide that information to senior leadership. So after crawling, we walked a little bit, and we started with the client facing. And this is where we suppressed the native Zendesk messaging and pushed out Embrace. So when our clients come into the help center, they land right on the product that they're contracted for. And the first thing they're presented with before any article is the Embrace widget. And it's asking how it can help. So instead of them having to search for an article or look for a topic or a webinar, Embrace does it for them. Even if they're searching for a webinar, they can do it and find it very quickly with the Embrace tool. It is allowing them to really speed up the search process. And you'll notice that we've also suppressed the searching within Zendesk. So we're really pushing folks towards utilizing the tool. And now we're going to run. So we are partnering with Embrace and trying to think outside the box, right? How else can we automate some daily tasks to free up some time? We do a lot of routine tasks that need search functionality. So we're utilizing Embrace in that capacity. We're actually we're piloting a client management sentiment um, with our ticketing so that an agent will tell the client manager, this is the last 10 interactions with the client, and these were the CSATs. Right now, it's providing a summary of tickets. Uh, and then we're going to work on moving our QA process off of spreadsheets into an agent, which will be very interesting. I long for the day where I can get rid of the 20 tab QA spreadsheet. And the last thing is we are currently looking at putting it right into each of our product lines. So no longer will any of our clients have to come into the help center. The help center will come to them. And it will allow them to search everything Zendesk has to offer, give them step-by-step instructions right within the platform they're using without leaving, and complete whatever task they were doing in the career service platform, our recruit platform, whatever they were in, and hopefully be able to finish their task much faster. So, yeah, we're looking forward to running. Well, at least with Embrace, I don't run, but anyway, that's a different story.
All right, thanks, Jake. Tim, same question your way.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how close and similar Jacob and I's experience with Embrace and like the steps that we've taken are actually very, very similar. But yeah, I'm happy to showcase. I'd love to show like how we use the web widget on our platform for customers to interact with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so that you can all see it. Awesome. So at WP Engine, this is what we call the user portal. It's our app that we use for customers to log into and manage their websites. This is how they can change their domains, update their DNS. This is how they can install SSL certificates. This is anything that they need to do to make sure that their website is up and running. They can do here. But on this page specifically is our support center. So if they needed help, they can come to this page and talk with Embrace or look at our articles themselves. We have Embrace actually publicly in two different spots. Like I said, this is our platform, but we actually have Embrace also on our marketing page, where people who aren't customers but prospective customers or just people wanting to look at WP Engine and see what it's about, they can talk to Embrace as well. And these agents that power this version of Embrace don't have our internal documentation like I was talking about earlier for our technical team. This is an agent that we built out to help customers easily access our documentation. So anybody who is familiar with the hosting world of websites know that DNS can be a pain if you're standing up a website. So we have a lot of customers who just ask like, how can I update my DNS for my website? And so if we just type and ask Embrace that question here, Embrace will use our customer-facing documentation, which we have about 200 articles, and properly provide the information to the customer on like how they can get their DNS updated. What I like about the agent that we've built out is we make sure to try and give them multiple options because there's different ways to do a lot of tasks. So we try to always give them the different options of what they're wanting to do. In this situation, option number one is to do an automatic DNS configuration because a tool that we have on our platform, we partner with Entry Connect, which is a tool to, all you have to do is log into your DNS provider, and it updates your DNS for you automatically. It even mentions out like if you have GoDaddy or Namecheap or Cloudflare, like those are supported providers for this automatic situation. And so you can keep the conversation going with Embrace. If this is enough and like you got what you needed, you can give your feedback of whether it was good or bad, and we look at all of the feedback that comes through so that we can better tune our answers. It also gives links to all of the articles directly, so that if the customer wanted to go see a specific article for like specific information that was shared in this answer, very helpful. Let's say that I wanted to go with option number 1, but I don't know where to connect entry here. So you can just keep that conversation going with Embrace, and you can ask, I want to use option 1. How, let's say, where do I use entry? Again, it's using the same sources as before to continue the conversation and help the customer get to where they need to be with our help, with our documentation. So it says to add a domain in the user portal. You go to the domain section in the user portal under the sites tab. So if we went into sites and we selected a site, these are all my this is my sandbox area, so just some random stuff in here, but it mentioned to go to the domains area, which you can go to domains here now, and then it said to add the select the option after click add domain, and it's helping me showcase that I could just type in domain.com, which I do not own, which I don't know if it's a real thing that you can own, but probably not. I'll use a real domain that I have. Please hire timguinan.com. This was a website I made when I applied at WP Engine all those years ago. It was a joke resume. But once I add the domain, it says to select the automatic option and log into your DNS provider, which I won't do the full thing, but I'll just showcase that it is correct. Oh yeah, and I've already added this domain. But yeah, I love just the fact that this can really help our customers out. You can give a thumbs up, thumbs down, providing feedback. Our team will see it. We'll see the exact response for what Embrace got the thumbs up and thumbs down for. And if we ever need to make changes, I think I'll give this piece of advice. I think this is my team is a very firm believer of, if something is wrong, if you got a feedback that was like a negative, we're firm believers that it's best to update the source of that information. So we try to keep our technical documentation as up to date as humanly possible. It's possible to provide guidance in Embrace itself and say, here is where override answers and use this specific thing. You can do that in Embrace, which we've done from time to time. But whenever we can, we want to update our original documentation that it's using, because if the documentation is always up to date, we don't ever have to worry about someday when we need to change some configurations and then we forget to reinstate those overrides for how Embrace should act. So we just try to update our articles themselves as possible as we can. That's like one of the areas that we've implemented a tool to help our customers, because it reduces our volume, similar to what Jacob was talking about earlier when it comes to using the Embrace's Zendesk app. I have some screenshots that I can show where, here we go. This is a screenshot of our Zendesk instance, protecting some customer data, so that doesn't get shown. But on the right-hand side, if I zoom in, you can see that we have Embrace in the right-hand icon. This is where you can talk with Embrace. And I mentioned earlier, we moved Embrace out of Slack and into Zendesk. And this is where our team can now interact with Embrace. If they start typing in messaging in Embrace, our team can just start getting answers and search our documentation much easier. And if we started typing, it might end up in resulting something like this. If in this screenshot, I asked, how do I clear cache for the website? And Embrace is giving that information. And another practical thing that we've started doing to help encourage our team to use Embrace more and more for our, and we've done this with customers as well, we actually have the agent give the information, and then we tell the agent to the AI agent to provide like what are some follow-up questions, and then it tells our people who are working the ticket, hey, the next question you might ask is, and then it gives 3 examples of what they might ask next. This is also really encouraged our team to ask more questions, and it's gotten more prompts over time from our team. So it's just one of those tips and tricks to potentially implement yourself. And then to go back to the original screenshot, not only can you start talking with Embrace by messaging it right away, we've been building out quick action buttons. Some of them that we built out are here. Summarize ticket is a very powerful one. Similar to Jacob, they have a summarize quick action button I saw for his slides. We build it so this is like whenever you have a tech who needs to escalate this issue to maybe a peer, and they need to take notes, they need to send it over. To make it quick as possible, it's one click of a button. Just click summarize ticket, and this is the output from Embrace. It starts summarizing the ticket. We have it give a 1 to 2 sentence summary at the top. It gives key customer detail information. It then provides what the customer's request was from the ticket, as well as what actions our agents have taken, and what like the customer has tried from their end or the concerns they have. And then at the end of that, we also provide a recommended next steps. So it takes a summary of the ticket, and using our knowledge base, it goes, here's likely what you need to do for the next steps to help this customer interaction. And then what's great about this in Embrace is there's a button that says add as internal note at the bottom. When you click that, it just adds all of that output directly as an internal note into the ticket, so that when you're escalating it up to another person, they just have all of this output right then and there in front of their face when you're escalating it up. And then another good use of quick action buttons that I wanted to show that we have. I don't have screenshots of it being used, but we have built out our quick QA process through quick action buttons. Our managers of support agents can come in here and click this button, and we've built out an agent that just will do a QA process on the ticket, and you can actually get like a scorecard to see if the interaction went well, if the customer got a resolution, and see all that. So very happy to have this ability, because you can assign AI agents to your quick actions. So you can build an AI agent that just does one thing, and you can do it in the click of a button.
That's great. Thanks for the walkthrough, Tim. Picture definitely worth 1,000 words. It's helpful to see, what you all have implemented. I know we're coming up on time here. I'll pose, one last question to each of you. Jake, as you thought about, you sort of go back in time and you were thinking about options in the marketplace. Well, both companies, Symplicity and WP Engine, have been Zendesk customers for a long time, have really invested in that platform. Tell me a little bit about how you thought about the set of options in the market. Whether it's Zendesk or other AI providers. How did you go about surveying the market and heading to a decision?
Well, as Tim probably will say similar, the AI market is tended to be flooded, especially right about now. But looking at the entire landscape, and especially for our need, we have 13 different product lines with varying levels of functionality, and we didn't want a solution that cross-contaminated data. So when we looked at that and then we surveyed the market, we got a lot of, yeah, but we could do that, but we have to build something, or there'd have to be a bridge. So when it came down to the Embrace tool, there was no but. It was you build the documentation you're looking at, you assign an agent, and you put it where you want it to put. You put it where you need it to go for your client. So that's the most simplistic answer. And then I'll echo part of what Tim said. Right, it came down to partnership. It was we were on the journey together. So we all thought about the traditional use cases, but now we're thinking outside the box. We're thinking QA. We're thinking, summarize the client management. We're thinking, how else can this be used throughout the organization now that it has access to all this data, but it's protected? So it's not out there like a regular AI tool. So that's really what it came down to, was just, for lack of a better phrase, right, the flexibility of how it can be used for a very complex business process. So.
Okay. Thanks, Jake. Tim, curious your take.
Yeah, I'd love to answer this from a little bit of a different perspective, because my team had already done a lot of the AI vendor assessments before I joined the team. So for me, this is coming from the perspective of, I'm already using some AI vendors, and I've been looking at like others, and like, why do I keep choosing Embrace over other things that I view? And a lot of it is like what Jacob said. Embrace is much easier to integrate into our Zendesk app than I've seen other vendors be, and the partnership is really big in my eyes. Like Seth, you and I, and Derek, another founder of Embrace, have had a lot of different conversations, and being able to talk with the founders is a pretty big deal in my eyes, and just being able to talk with your engineering team from time to time, of just like, hey, here's something that like we would love to do, and just like collaborating with one another has been very powerful. And when I talk to other AI vendors, there might be, the AI space is like Jake said, is very saturated, but there's a lot of also marketing around it. And so what I mean by that is, I sometimes feel like when I talk to other vendors that they feel like they want us to get locked in with them to a degree. And the AI space changes so quickly, so fast, so often. Feeling like you're getting locked into something for like multi years or something like that, it can potentially be like, detrimental depending on who you're partnering with. And I don't feel that with Embrace. I don't feel like I'm being forced into anything. I don't feel like I'm being locked into anything. And I feel like I'm just partnering, and we're just trying to advance each other. And it's just like this mutual like respect for each other of just, let's work on this together. Let's advance this together.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. All right. Thanks a ton, Tim and Jake. It's fantastic. Appreciate you sharing your stories. What we've heard over the course of our time together was really about AI and how transformative it can be if done well. And I think we heard some great advice from the panelists. Know that there's going to be an element of fear, and that perhaps like this crawl, walk, run approach that Jake talked about can really help overcome some of those concerns. We heard about the power of technology and that on the ROI front, and delivering some quantifiable, meaningful impacts. WP Engine, for example, had a 50% reduction in time to resolve and a 45% reduction in volume of chats. We have a case study that we published with them on those things. But there's also opportunity to streamline processes using smart agentic tools. You heard about some of the examples of using quick action for ticket summarization and response, recommending next steps, and all these things can help streamline support processes. I want to thank everybody for joining today and being part of this conversation, and really hope that this gave you some useful and actionable inputs. As a thank you for attending, we're offering an unpaid trial of Embrace. We will send you a follow-up note coming out of today's webinar. It'll include a recording of today's session, but also information on how to approach that trial, which we'd welcome you to get hands-on with our solution and understand how Jake and Tim achieved the results that they did. I also want to share one just final thank you to Support Driven for partnering with us on this webinar. Support Driven is a wonderful community of support professionals. It's worth checking out that group and perhaps joining if you are not a member today. So with that, have a fantastic day.